Kalkadosh, Boker Or, Bekiim Bahalacha, 4 days, 74. Yeah, Siman Kavzain, Siman 27, page 181, Halacha, Pe Bet, 82. So Pe Bet says like this. We're talking about now covering the tefillin when you're wearing them. Okay? So tefillin shel yad en lakpid imem gluyim umechusim. So the tefillin shel yad, we don't have to be makpid, right? That means basically you're allowed to wear them, whether they're going to be hidden under the one's clothing or exposed, that everyone could see them. It's better to come and to cover them. Meaning, even though if it's not covered, it's also okay. Lechatchila, cover the tefillin shel yad. Is it plastic? No, you're actually covering it with the clothing. Yeah. Let's see over here, right? He says like this. One second. Yeah, just so that it doesn't get damaged. No. The Talmud relates that Rav Ashi was sitting in the presence of Amimar one day. Rav Ashi had an injury on his upper arm, and therefore he had torn open the side of his cloak so that it would not rub against the injury. As a result, the tefillin shel yad was exposed. Amimar noticed this and asked him, why is it permissible? He argued that since the Torah said in tefillin shel yad, meaning it's lecha, right? Lecha leot. So he says it's only for you, not for everybody else. So he says, so nobody else should see it. Rav Ashi replied by explaining that the Torah did not mean that it's forbidden to display the tefillin shel yad to others. The Torah just says that it's part of one's upper arm, which is usually only for yourself. Since it specifies lecha leot, right? So it's going to be for you. We know that it means the upper arm, because that's what's usually only for you and not for other people. The Ramah ruled that it does not matter whether one wears the tefillin shel yad hidden or not, based on Rav Ashi's interpretations. The Levush, however, ruled that one should keep the tefillin shel yad hidden under the clothing. Because of this, the Madani Yom Tov challenges this ruling. He says, "What about Rav Ashi?" Meaning, why exactly are you going to say that? You've got Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi said mefurash and bayah. So the Shimush Rabbah comes and he says, right, as follows. Mataomen? The pay bet. Yeah, lacha pay bet, 82. So he says the Shimush Rabbah states that one must keep the tefillin covered, and the Bet Yosef cited the Sefer Truma interpreting the Shimush Rabbah as referring to tefillin shel yad only, and he found that the Orchot Chaim concur with this ruling. Based on this, right, of the Sefer Truma, the Rabbah defended the ruling of the Levush, and according to this, although Rav Ashi stated that it is not critical to cover the tefillin shel yad, he meant to say that he was permitted to uncover it since it would have been a hardship for him. Meaning, lo שזה תמיד לכתחילה לעשות, פה זה היה קשה לו, היה לו מכה. So what did he want? So he opened up the clothing in order to be revealed. And Magen Avraham commented on the Ramah's ruling, saying that if somebody's garment was ripped and he has a tefillin shel yad which is exposed, so therefore it's acceptable. So again, he was saying that it's only if the garment is torn. The Achronim, the Kafachim Falat, the Ben Ishchai, and others, they said Shara Kavanot, saying that according to the Rizal HaKadosh, you should keep it always, right, out of other people's view. Meaning, Al Pia Kabbalah ze bayati. Al Pia Kabbalah tzarich liot mechuseh. Not just stam. Meaning, according to the halacha, either or, even though you're ter tov lechasot, right? That's according to the halacha. But according to the Kabbalah, that's what it says here. Uldata mekubbalim tzarich lechasot zro betalito. You have to cover it with a talit. בשעת הנחת תפילין, כדי שיהיה הנחת תפילין של יבצניה, ואפילו יושב לבדו, ואפילו בבית, אפילו יעשה כן. Here brings down, look at the חסל האלפים. You know the חסל האלפים is. One second, we'll speak about everything else. One second. So first of all, you have the Chesel Alafim. Chesel Alafim is the Eliezer Papo, the Peliyuetz. Then you have also Kafachim Falache, right? And then you have the Ben Ishchai, and you have Kafachim Sofet. So you have all four of them that mention this about Data Mekubalim. The Lachabru testified that Maran and Shol and Tzion did not cover the Tefillin Shel Yad at all, neither while putting them on or afterwards. And this follows, right, the straightforwardness interpretation of the Ramah. In fact, the response of the Tashbet states clearly that there's no obligation to cover it. Therefore, the Lachabru concluded, anyone who finds it difficult to cover the Tefillin Shel Yad may leave it uncovered. Although the Rishon and Tzion did not cover it, it might be that he found it difficult to personally cover it. But he agreed that whoever could do so should do it. So basically, you do have that Rav Ovadia was not makpid to cover the Tefillin Shel Yad, but technically you have all the Mekubalim, and also even according to the Halacha, that it is better to do so. So therefore, that's why, by the way, you have a lot of people that they also put on the jacket, right? Which means that they'll come and they'll put on the jacket, so that way it's going to be covered. Not only just the talit, because many times the talit is up here, so it's not covering over here. You understand? So therefore, you have it also covered as well. Yeah, no, that's nowadays. You're right. They have a special jacket. Or, you know what a lot of people also do? They don't actually put on the arm. Meaning they put on the jacket that over here, the arm is not inside, that this is just on the shoulder, but it's already covering. You understand? Yeah, they don't actually summit the Yabifim. Yeah. Many times when you put the hand, it depends. If you have a very tight, or it's tefillin, echad or shani. No, so it depends. I wasn't saying it. Nachon. If you go, so then you have to be careful. The Maran Nishol and Zion did not bother, right? היה נוהג שלא לכסות תפילין של יד כלל בין בשעת הנחתם לאחר מכן, ולכן אם קשה עליו הדבר, רשאי להקל שלא חסותם אפילו בשעת הנחתן. So you could even be מקל even during the time of הנחת תפילין. Fine, הלכה פ"ג. הרוצה להבשיל שרוולו על זרועו השמאלית כדי לכסות תפילין של יד. So, we just spoke about. Yeah, you want to pull the sleeve over the tefillin. יעשה כן רק לאחר הנחת תפילין של ראש. Meaning, even if you are going to come and put on, whether it's a jacket, the sleeve, whatever you want on top, do so only after you put on the tefillin של ראש. Meaning, don't put on the tefillin של יד, תכסה את זה, ואז אתה תשים את של ראש. אל תעשה את זה, זה הפסק. זה פסק, כן? אוקיי. ולא יבשיל השרוול בין תפילין של יד לתפילין של ראש, משום שלכתחילה אסור להפסיק ביניהם אף במעשה. So you're not allowed to come and you're not allowed to do this because of a ma'aseh. So you can't even pull the sleeve down. Nothing. Right? Until afterwards. Okay? So he must wait until after he puts on the tefillin של ראש. And if he does pull it down, it's an interruption. So therefore it's going to be a problem. Right? Just like we brought above. הלכה פ' ד' הנוהגים לכסות את הבית של התפילין של יד במכסה פלסטי, כדי שלא יתקלקל הריבוע מחמת דוחק השרוול, יש להם על מה שיסמוכו, they have what to יסמוכו, אלא שיש לדקדק שבשעת הברכה והנחה תהיה התפילה של יד מגולה לגמרי. ורק אחר שיסיימו הנחת תפילין של ראש, רשאים ליתן המכסה על הבית. ומנהג הראשון לציון שלא ליתן הכיסוי על התפילין כלל. So he wants to say like this. First of all, can I make the bracha when it's covered? No. So here he's saying lechatchila no, right? He says, first of all, you make the bracha when it's uncovered, and only after finishing putting on the tefillin shel rosh, then you could cover it. So that's why the new, one of the hidurim of the new kisuim is that it does not cover the entire bite. It's only covering the pinot lemala. I don't know if you ever saw it. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? That's what I have. I bought them. They're special. Yeah, because the other one completely covers the entire bite. This is not covering the entire bite. It's only covering the pinot. So therefore, if you actually, when you buy it and it has ashkacha, it actually tells you that I think it was Rav Asher Weiss, and I don't remember who else, Paskin, shezenikra megule. Because bikaron, it's considered revealed. Because bikaron, it's only a gumi, which is mamash just covering the four corners. It's not covering anything of the actual bite in itself. So let's look in the English. Many people keep the plastic cover on the bite of the tefillin while wearing it to protect the corners do not become rounded from the constant friction of rubbing against their clothing. This is an acceptable practice, but they should take it off while they're making the bracha and put it on, right, only afterwards. So the bite is uncovered at the time, and they're putting on the tefillin shel rosh, then they could put on this cover. The personal practice we showed in Shalom was never to cover it. Yeah, uafpam lo kisayze. So 202. The Tosafot Menachot. Yeah, cites an opinion that the word ma'abarta means a strip of leather used to cover the bite of the tefillin shel yad. The Tosafot challenges this interpretation since the bite is supposed to be the outer surface of the tefillin, so it has to be exposed. So the Tosafot reconciles it in three different ways. There would be a problem if someone would attach the cover permanently to the tefillin. Number two, the rule stating that the bite must be the outer surface of the tefillin is talking about the tefillin shel rosh, right? And therefore he comes and he says, and number three, the leather strip does not cover the entire bite. Two sides are left uncovered, and therefore the bite is considered exposed to the air. So the Rosh, right? The Rosh, he comes and he says that the first two answers to Tosafot, he explained the second answer as follows. The problem that the bite is not being exposed to the air applies only to Tefillin Shel Rosh because it has four separate compartments. So he says this does not matter to do with the Tefillin Shel Yad because it's one compartment. The Mordechai discussed the practice of wrapping the scrolls with a scrap parchment. He asserted that the wrapper is not considered the bite of the scroll because then there will be a problem. The wrapper is only a means of protecting the scroll. So how does that apply nowadays? So pay attention. It says like this. According to Tosfot's answer A, it's permissible to use the plastic cover on the bite since it's not permanently attached to it or glued to it. Okay? According to Tosfot's answer B, it's certainly permissible since we use the cover of the Tefillin Shel Yad only, and it only applied to the Tefillin Shel Rosh. So therefore, there shouldn't be any problem. However, though, he says, according to the C, these plastic covers is a problem because it covers the bite on all four sides. Right? So he says, nevertheless, it is safe to assume that it's permissible to use the plastic covers for a number of reasons. Number one, the Yad Malachi agreed to the Achronim who asserted that when the Tosfot offered several solutions, the first one appearing in the words is the one that we should rely on. If someone argues in this case, we must follow the second one. So then fine, it's still going to be okay. Because it's only tefillin shel yad, not tefillin shalosh. So we don't have to be concerned of the third answer, right? Because anyway, he wants to say that it was rejected. It wasn't even brought down, the third one. So he says the response of the Teshurat, Shai, comes and he says, no, we have to take the number C into consideration. So if you have all three covering, all four sides being covered, it's going to be a problem. Ken? So now he comes and he says this. So Rishon LeZion rejected the ruling of Teshurat Shai for a number of reasons. And he comes and he says, right, that really Be'emet there's no problem. The Rosh and the Sefer Truma, the Rabbeinu Hanan, and the Mordechai, they all ruled for sure that there's no problem. And therefore, that all three answers are acceptable. He says they're exclusive. Therefore, since we place the plastic cover on the tefillin shel yad only, and it's not attached to whatsoever, impermissible in practice. Meaning, זה בסדר. כאילו בגלל, קודם כל, זה לא מחובר לתפילין. It's only a kisui, but you don't glue it on, right? אתה לא מדביק את זה. אתה רק שם את זה ככה. נכון. שלא ייפול. אבל זה עוד פעם, זה לא דבוק לזה. זאת אומרת, זה לא נדבק לזה. And number two also, he comes and he says, not only is that it's not physically there, it's only on tefillin shel yad, it's not on tefillin shel rosh. What about now plated batim? So that's why I told you, by the way, that the other one, which is only on the top, זה בשביל הבעיה השלישי של התוספות. That it's not מכסה כל הארבע הצדדים. Right? It's yeah. Okay. So plated batim. The Teshurat Shai ruled, according to the Shulchan Aruch, he comes and he says that if someone plates the batim and tefillin with gold, right? He says, or a leather of a non-kosher animal, the tefillin are not kosher. The Hebrew term of tzipui does not necessarily mean attaching to the object it's covering. It just means covering it. So, for example, the Torah comes and he tells us that you have the Aron HaKodesh, and the Aron HaKodesh was a wood, and to plate it on the inside of it. From the inside and outside. The Talmud teaches that the Betzalel's fashioned 3 arks, 2 of gold and 1 of wood. He then inserted the wooden one into the larger golden one, and the smaller golden one into the wood one. So you see from this that simply placing a cover on something is called plating. So the minute he didn't have to come and to actually make it out of it. What did he do? He did a huge box out of gold, a little bit smaller one out of wood. He put that one inside, and then a little bit of a smaller one out of gold again. So it was mibaitu michutz. It was on the inside and outside covered with gold, but he didn't have to fashion it together. Just by putting it one inside of the other, that was already considered that he made it in that fashion. So you see, so here says. So we see from this, simply placing a cover on something is also called plating it. Meaning here, he didn't have to nail it together or do anything. No. עצם זה שהוא שם אחד בתוך משהו אחר, אפילו אם לא מחוברים, אבל אחד בתוך השני, obviously it was fitted when you're doing it and so it's exact. The point is not attached. It's not attached, right? The fact that it's, even if it's going to be closely fitted because of thing, he says, right, it's still going to be okay, but it's called attached. So Shalom LeZion rejected this argument as well. He said that the word tzipui in the Torah means to cover something even if the cover is not attached. The same as the word in the Gemara also, plating, that is attached until the water until it actually covers it. Our sages stated, right, that the meaning of the Hebrew words in the Torah does not necessarily match with the Hebrew words of what we say. So therefore, not always is the same thing. Okay, so the Mikdash Shmiat comes. Okay, what's the practice? Let's get to this. So the practice, right? I'm on the page of 184 on the bottom. Avram Yitzchak Kook said that it's permissible to use a protective cover on the tefillin as long as 2 conditions are fulfilled. One is that the cover is occasionally taken off. זאת אומרת, לפעמים אתה מוציא את זה. אז זה הבעיה מה שאמרת מרדכי לגבי, כשאתה שם את ה... Some people, they put like a rubber band or they put something like very, very tight. So if you never take it off, it's going to be a problem, right? Because then it looks like a permanent cover. Furthermore, it must not fit very tightly on the bite, because if it does, זה אותו דבר כמו שזה דבוק לבית. So if you put it so tight that it's mamash, so then it's the same thing. So the Rishon LeZion counter that the ruling of the issue the Gonim is that it's only for the tefillin shalosh. So according to that, there's no problem. So according to the Rav Ovadia, זה רק בעיה בתפילין shalosh, לא בתפילין של יד. תפילין של יד מותר לך לעשות זה. Even according to Tosfot's answer number 1, there's no problem. What? זה מה שהוא אומר. So he says, even according to Tosfot's answer, there's no problem of tight fitting. So he says, as long as it's not been glued. So to mean הוא רוצה להגיד כל זמן שזה לא דבוק, אפילו אם זה ממש pressure, you know that they put it sometimes with pressure, doesn't matter. It's not glued together. That's what he wants to say. Several poskim, Rav Ovadia, he says several poskim though, right? He comes and he says, insisted that no cover should be used either on the tefillin of them, doesn't matter whether tefillin shel yad, tefillin shalosh. They said that it's going to be prohibited. The Lacha demands, in this his opinion, that it should be exposed. That Yitzchak Tshuvot brings down a Dvrei Yitziv, Harav Moshe Yefrown that also said the same thing. Nevertheless, the Rishon LeZion said that it's permissible that one, right, but that one should remove it while putting them on. So the minute Tafilim Rav Ovadia Ratzah Lagid שזה mutar, הוא כן אמר בעצמו, תוריד את זה. Right? Take it out. Okay? The author of the Chazon Ish also said that you should remove the cover of the tefillin before you putting them on, and then you cover them again afterwards. Okay?